My headphones are gonna die.
All right, as your headphones are dying, we are live.
What's going on, guys? Hey, good morning, good evening, good night. We got another episode here of Layer1Live. We are coming to you. Obviously, I'm not in my humble abode at home, but I've got Demeester here holding it down for everybody else. So we are ready to roll. So what's going on today, Demetri?
Yeah, not much. So I was kind of scrambling here last minute to get this OBS set up, so a bit of nerve wracking. But we got that set up. Sorry for us being a little bit late than usual, but I'm glad everybody's here and you guys, give us a little bit of patience. We definitely got lots of news today to talk about. Some interesting stuff, right, Q?
Yeah, so we've definitely got a ton of stuff, guys. As we continue to go on, let us know if the volume's okay. Obviously, we're doing this new setup, so we want to make sure everything's going. So, yeah, we got a ton of news, man. We've got a lot of quick news today. So, we have ETC, Ethereum Classic, getting exploited or 51% attacked. We've got Adamant Capital shutting down. That's Tuur, Demeester's fund there. We've got some Grayscale news. We've got some interesting news out of EOS that is coming out. DeFi continuously in the news, and then we're going to hit NFTs. So we appreciate everybody in. Let me give some shout outs real quick to the lads that are in the channel. Where are we at? So Kat was in it first. He said first lad. Scott is saying go EOS. Martin's also saying go EOS. He says hello, fellow lads and ladies. So we got a ton of people in. Sahil's saying we need to cut these episodes down, Dimitri. So it looks like we're not going to be able to go as long. But what's going on in your neck of the woods this week in crypto, man?
Yeah, man. So I'm watching this, obviously, the DeFi space. I had, an interesting experiment that I'm doing right now with one of the DeFi projects, just so I can kind of get the full scope of things of a cycle. All right, how do you get in on one? How do you get out? What are certain things that I pick up in terms of like trading? These things like slippage, liquidity, and so on. So it was pretty interesting. I've been experimenting with that. Once we get into DeFi, I'll talk about the specific one that I'm experimenting with, and we can share with the community. It's one of the new ones that came out, so everybody likes the new DeFi tokens, right?
Yeah, man.
we got
Yeah,
that.
DeFi's been on a crazy run here. Obviously, we've seen in the bull market that the narratives around DeFi are being picked up by the community. People like illiquid coins to find them very early before they're maybe listed on these centralized exchanges. So maybe we can find some to spotlight as we go forward. But some of the bigger DeFi tokens that have come out, obviously, Chainlink is the behemoth. We have Aave, we have Synthetics. Obviously, there's a ton more that have really cemented themselves. Link being one of the strongest ones. So we're going to start with the breaking news there. But before we do that, I'm going to touch on some stats. I'm going to give a layer one lad shout out because the lads have been killing it this week. And then I want you to kind of touch on what we're releasing via our blog here over the coming, like, I think the next 48 hours. I know we told the lads that we were getting some utility stuff out for the token. We got a lot of big things planned for that token, man. So we're super excited. But let me get to some stats and then I'll let you go into that. So this week, it looks like the past 7 days we had US, UK, Australia, Indonesia, and Canada. So Indonesia making its way into the top 5 this week. We appreciate everybody listening and watching around the world. Guys, we'll get to the comments here in a second as well. I see some coming in. Top 3 episodes from this past week. As you can see, we've got Block Damon. We've got that episode with Framework Ventures coming back up here and picking up some views, as well as that interview with Stanny from Aave. This week, we got a ton of good stuff coming. We've got Dimitri's Desk on Tuesday. We've got a episode with Reserve. So they are a governance and stablecoin project on the Ethereum protocol. They got Reserve. The token is RSR. We've got NFT Live on Thursday, as well as Dapper Labs and Dimitri's Desk on Friday. So ton of good stuff coming there. I think that's pretty much it from the stats. We want to give one shout out to Magnus. Magnus is a new lad. So we decided hey, thank you, Magnus. We wanted to give you a shout out for just, participating in the community, man. We appreciate, as the lads community grows out, we appreciate all you guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did end up adding quite a bit of lads to our channel, so that's pretty good seeing that grow. For those that are looking to join, obviously you can find that in the description, access to our group. We do fun stuff like predictions for BTC, which kind of wrapped up today. Looks like, who do we have as far as the winners go for this prediction for today?
Yeah, let me go to my Telegram really quick. I believe we had Sahil, Kieran. Let me get a couple others and let me see, because I dropped it in lads today to make sure that we had the right winner. So we had Kieran, Jay, Sahil, Guillerme, and Manuel. Those are the guys that took home the winning this week. So I believe they predicted 11.5 to 12K. And we had some interesting comments coming on talking about whether we can leverage on Bitcoin stakes, which we might roll out in the future. But congrats to those guys that picked the correct range for BTC. They got their 150 lads, as well as getting a little bit closer to that Bitcoin reward at the end of the month. So yeah, congrats to those guys in the Bitcoin stakes, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in regards to the utility of lads tokens, we're going to be rolling out, obviously, multiple utilities for it. Some of them will include something where, you'll have specific access, early access to pre-sales. Like, for example, the Top Shot. We're going to cover that a little bit later once we get into that. So there's lots of things that lads will start giving you access to, our community. So, keep up with that.
Yeah, there's so many good things happening in the personal token space right now, man. And Cooper Turley is doing a lot. I feel like he's just like everywhere in that kind of NFT. I wouldn't say NFT, more like DAO. And just Ethereum ecosystem in general. So we'll touch on a story with him, and hopefully we can work with him very closely to roll out this LADS token and make it as good as possible, because he definitely has a lot of experience. So the better we can make LADS, the more we can offer utility and value to you guys that are in layer one, man. That'll be the best thing, I think, for all of us. It's gonna be some cool times ahead for the LADS token. So appreciate everybody hopping in. We got young content saying, what's up, gang? Brandon is in it saying, go LADS. So we appreciate you guys stopping by, man. We're gonna hit a lot of content today. We got some DeFi news. The Curve token is launching this month, and probably like within the next 7 days here. So maybe even sooner. So Curve is going to be something to look out for as far as like initial valuation. I know a lot of liquidity providers on Uni and just on the Curve finance application are going to get this initial drop and initial distribution of the Curve token. But everyone's looking, like, if you look on Twitter around the Curve token, everyone's like, how do I buy? How do I buy? How do I buy? Because we know everyone is not supplying liquidity on the Curve finance platform, but they want to take advantage of what happens to that token, because it's going to be the biggest launch we've seen to date for sure, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be super exciting. Anyway, there's quite a bit of housekeeping news, so if we're ready to hop in, I'll start off with the breaking news about Link's trading volume, speaking of DeFi.
Hit it, man.
Yeah, so basically the headlines that we see right now is Link's trading volume on Coinbase surpasses Bitcoin, which is super interesting, right? That Link is super hot. There was another headline that came through. I think it was from the block, and it says something like all of the addresses are holding Link in profit, which is like pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, basically saying the Chainlink token, driven by the increased popularity of DeFi, surged past Bitcoin, becoming the most traded cryptocurrency of the past 24 hours on Coinbase Pro. So basically on Coinbase Pro, there was $163 million worth of trading on Link. While, if you take a look at BTC, it was 96.4 million. So you can see how much more Link was traded on Coinbase Pro than, BTC, which is like, what?
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute. BTC is king, right? We know that BTC does have the biggest market cap as far as crypto goes. But now we have Link that's taken over I guess it was one day that they captured that specific volume that was come through, was significantly higher than BTC. That's starting to raise somebody's eyebrows,
Yeah, man. You talk about it all the time on Dimitri's desk too. It's like not making sure that you're not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. Everybody wants to call the top on Link.
Yep.
and it's really just, it continues kicking, man. Like literally 30%, I believe, over 24 hours a couple days ago. And like, where do you call the top on this thing? That like are you're just staying out of the way, figuring out and trying to find other hidden gems. I think we had a comment come through in the comment section. Young Content came through with, I want to encourage y'all to check out Datamine and their stacking token Flux. It's really ripping the market right now and super undervalued. I know you guys like DeFi, and that's a hidden gem for sure. Yeah, we're going to talk some hidden gems in DeFi at the end of the episode, or near the end when we start to talk DeFi. But let me go back to my original question, Dima. What do you do with Link right now? What are you doing with Link?
Yeah. So, and this is what I tell on the desk all the time, because, I love my bears, right? And they're being kind of starving nowadays, given the bull market that's going on right now. But they'll have their own time, right? The thing that I'm emphasizing is like, well, you see the volume in Link, right? That's very solid. It's picking up. It's growing, right? And the price is reflecting that as well. Why would you, go against that massive trend with the volume backing it up and try to pick these tops? Yeah, you might retrace a little bit, right? We have these small corrections, and you might have a winning trade, right? That you pick up some percentage points to the downside, scalp it, but like, is it really worth it, right? Because if you're scalping this with the trend, you have the possibility actually to gain more percentage points. So instead of fighting the trend, right, why don't you just ride with the trend and then have your risk parameters set that if the trend does change, then you're going to be out of there, right? I think that's the better play rather than, picking tops. And, a lot of people love doing that. They love picking tops and they end up getting run over,
Yeah, 100%. So we got a ton to talk about as far as DeFi is concerned. Again, I keep going back to this Curve token. Curve is launching their token and distributing that to the initial liquidity providers. It's going to vest over a year's time period, but we can talk about that here in a second. So anything as far as Link is concerned when it comes to, I'm going to try to link really quick in the chat link. I threw out that pun, but there was an interesting conversation this morning. Just some random YouTube channel. I got to figure out who it was, but they had an absolutely strong lineup of guys in that channel talking DeFi and kind of everything. We dropped that in the Labs channel in Telegram, but it had Vitalik, it had Sergey, specifically from Link, and they had a couple other guys on that call. I'm going to drop that into the channel now and see if I can't make sure you guys check that out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But looks like that's about it as far as like, big breaking news go. We can hop into the quick news section and run through that and then make our way to the discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I'm going to drop this in the chat. Let's see if it comes through. I know I know we had a couple issues as far as dropping that into chat, but we'll see if that comes through. If not, I'll try to log on to another account, see if I can't. But this was the hottest quick news from the past week. We had an Ethereum Classic attack, a 51% attack. Shocker. We've seen proof of work kind of be, how can you put this, susceptible of these lower market cap proof of work tokens. If you get a certain amount of the hash power on the network, you can effectively kind of double spend on the network and actually hack, quote unquote, these networks. So this story came from the Block. And I'll read a couple quotes out of here. It looks like blockchain data firm BitQuery published a report on August 5th that explored the attack that took place between July 31st and August 1st, finding that 807,000 ETC, worth more than 5 million, was double spent at the cost of about 192,000 BTC in order to obtain that hash power. So it looks like there was multiple attacks. I guess the ETC Foundation is now reaching out and trying to hire different sources to try to investigate this and what's going on. I think Vitalik chimed in and said, hey, you guys need to move from proof of stake or proof of work to proof of stake. Obviously, that's kind of a conservative community there at Ethereum Classic, but if they're going to get hit with a 51% attack every 5 seconds, it looks like they should probably, figure that out. I know there's a lot of different dynamics to be figured out when you're talking about a 51% attack. But Ethereum Classic got hit with that. We'll see what that will entail as they move forward. So that's pretty much it. The other piece of news that I had was Adamant Capital getting shut down. Tuur Demeester is definitely one of the more known Bitcoin maximalists in the space. It looks like his firm Adamant Capital slowly. And this story is behind a paywall at the block, so we need to figure out some way for our boy Cat to get us behind this paywall. But basically, and I'll read directly from the article here. It looks like Michelle, a co-founder of Adamant Capital, confirmed the closure, saying Demeester decided to close the fund due to personal and family reasons. Now, there was a ton of different community members that kind of chimed in here and talked about how Tuur might have been shorting ETH. So there might have been some situation here where a lot of Bitcoin maxis, they don't. I think Pomp came out this week and was talking the supply of ETH and how that's not really set, and how that could be a problem going forward. Well, a ton of Bitcoin maximalists, Tuur's getting hit here by shorting ETH, quote unquote. We'll see where that goes from here, but I thought that was a relevant piece of news as we see people go forward and try to deal with their own values and their own different ideals, kind of pushing them into making certain trades. I don't know. What do you think about that fund getting shut down specifically for shorting ETH?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's obviously going to be multiple funds that are going to be squeezed out by the recent moves in ETH or in general in crypto. So it's probably not the last one that we're going to see. We obviously know that other fund is shorting Link. I don't know how long are they looking to stay in that position if they were squeezed out already. But the whole thing about it is just like, I understand the perspective from the fund's side, where what their position is and why they set up that position. But the thing is you have to understand the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? So those things can continue to run longer than you can sustain your position. So timing is pretty much everything. Yeah, you might be right at the end, but by that time you probably lost so much, right? So that's
definitely.
That's my take on those things. So again, it goes back to the whole thing. It's like, well, we know that eventually it's going to be a correction. We'll start winding down, but until then we ride the train, right? So and that's the name of the game.
Yeah, I know a ton of people were talking about maybe Zeus Capital with all of their public shaming and kind of public attack of Link specifically being short Link, but it looks like, or being actually like some type of 130 IQ being long Link but it looks like there was something that came through a block explorer saying you could see the liquidation in real time of Zeus Capital positions that were short. So wow. It looks like Zeus Capital in fact was short. I don't know, again, that's not confirmed by anybody, but it looks like there was some different examples of that happening on the blockchain where they were getting liquidated. So we actually had a gray man come in and donate $5. So we appreciate you. What we need to do is have some type of actual clap or some type of applause.
Confetti flying around.
I'll give you a clap here, Gray Man. He is asking, can I buy Curve, and if so, where? So Gray Man, this is basically, we're going to get to this later, but because you donated that $5, we appreciate you so much. We'll get to this info now. Basically, Curve is going to distribute the initial supply of Curve to previous liquidity providers. That's going to vest over 1 year. So basically, those who've been supplying liquidity via Curve platform. Curve is obviously an automated market maker pool where people are supplying their capital and kind of fueling DeFi, right? They're the oil of DeFi. Everyone who's been using Curve up to this point is going to be getting a percentage, and I can add that to the description here, and I'll add that tweet. Basically, that initial liquidity, those initial liquidity providers are going to get distributed a certain amount of tokens based on what they've done. So to answer your second question, where you're going to be able to buy it, 100% going to be Uniswap. So whenever this drops, you're going to 100% be able to buy this on Uniswap. This is going to be a super interesting token, right? It's going to come out of the gates with a ton. Curve is by far one of the most used DeFi platforms in the entire space. It's going to come out with a lot of fanfare. So definitely be careful when you're with this token. It could, obviously this is not financial advice, but it could go up, it could go down, as you know, but it's going to come out with a lot of fanfare. So expect volatility 100%. Either way, you don't know, but expect volatility.
So there's no way basically to buy it right now before the Uni listing, right?
Yeah, they're 100% just distributing it initially to the people that have been providing liquidity. I'll try and get
Okay.
I'll try and get those tweets specifically so that you guys can check it out. But they actually had a snapshot and a distribution of the people that were going to get supplied this initially. So I'll definitely drop that in the tweet as Dimitri goes through. Or I'll drop that in the chat as Dimitri goes through these next bit of quick news. But Gray, man, appreciate you donating that $5, man. That really helps us as we continue to grow out the channel, man. We're definitely appreciative of that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so with that being said, there is risk in DeFi, even though a lot of people say they're, maybe turn a blind eye to it, right? So the next piece of news that we have here for quick news is DeFi options protocol Opyn hacked. Over 371,000 in dollars lost. So, and with all these liquidity mining pools and all these DeFi applications and platforms, sometimes we have this conversation. Well, there's an input like a bullseye from these black hat hackers to exploit those, right? To drain those that liquidity, right? And that's absolutely true. It does, and therefore, these DeFi projects they have to be in the front of trying to close these gaps, so their platform doesn't get exploited and drained. So for here, what happened? Opyn was hacked, and the hacker actually drained all the collateral that was set aside for put options on ETH. So somebody was selling put options on ETH, and they were writing those options. And if you know options, when you write an put option, you have to have a collateral with that, because in case it goes to that price, you'll have to, if somebody exercises that put option, then you have to be able to fulfill that. So the put options where basically the collateral was drained, which resulted in $371,000 worth of collateral that was lost by this hacker that exploited this issue. It had to do with double spending. It's shocker. That seems to be like the go-to type of exploit. So and the difficult part about that is that when it does occur on these platforms, the guys who made this platform, it's decentralized, right? So it's hard to shut it down, right? You can't really, all right, we're under attack, we're going to shut down the platform. You can't really do that if it's decentralized, right? But you can manage around and do different things. We've seen Synthetics was under attack at one point, right? And they were messing around with fees and so on, try to prevent it. But for Opyn specifically, because of that drain that happened, they what they did is they force liquidated put options that were held to prevent more put option holders basically being drained, and what they're also doing is they're compensating their users that were forced to liquidate their options. So they're actually doing a 20% markup on the price that you were holding on put options, and 20% markup compared to Deribit, which is obviously the most liquid and primary options trading platform. So they're giving back. They're saying the stolen funds are going to be essentially returned to the users. So they're trying to calm everybody down and saying, hey, listen, things are going to stabilize and we're going to fix this. So that I guess that's the silver lining there, but you just have to be careful with these platforms. There is a risk, of some of these getting hacked. We do see them time to time, and we do see Opyn also say, hey, listen, the bounty program that they're gonna beef that out a little bit more, because obviously if you have a pretty good solid bounty program and the white hat hackers or gray hat hackers, are coming in, they're like, hey, listen, I'm gonna make some money here and also not really disrupt, the growth here, right? So it's really what it comes down to. So it was interesting to see that. I'm not sure if Opyn was the one, but there was somebody who was offering 30-second options on BTC. I don't know why it kind of aligns it with Opyn for me. I'm not too sure if that's what was them, but so it was interesting to see that that exploit. Obviously not really a good thing, but looks like they're taking some measures to prevent that. They're gonna have another auditing of their smart contracts, so they're taking steps to make sure they're gonna grow out of it, right? So that's good. Good to see.
Yeah, 100%, guys. And as we go through this quick news, we're going to make our way through a ton of different. It looks like I just had my.
Yeah, you're good. I think Q's headphones died. So for those lads that might not be aware, yeah, we can't hear you, Q. So for those lads that might not be aware, while Q's fixing his microphone, Q is known to always have his phone on like 5%, or his laptop at like 3%. He really rides that line there on his charging devices, you know. So so while he's sorting that out, I'm gonna go into the next piece of news that I got here. Which is Grayscale. So in US, for those guys that are, that watch TV, Grayscale launched a TV ad nationwide. So now, basically people that are watching from US, they do see a 30-second clip where Grayscale talks about kind of the history of money, and then at the end basically shows like what cryptocurrency products are available to buy. But it does kind of, it is interesting to see Grayscale, start doing these commercials, and obviously more eyes on crypto. But the Bitcoin community has been kind of, disappointed per se, because they haven't really mentioned Bitcoin specifically, right? Because all these Bitcoin maximalists are like, well, why don't they just talk about all the history of money, and then they don't talk anything about like how Bitcoin is going to be the next thing. So it's like, well, it's Grayscale. Come on, it's a sophisticated, fund, and they just basically tell you about the history of money, and then you make your own conclusions to what you think is going to be next, or how you can hedge some of the fiat exposure and so on. But in general, the fact that they do list all those cryptocurrencies at the end of the commercial, that does put up more eyes on crypto in general, giving more exposure, and it's a nationwide, commercial. So it's like we haven't really, seen anything like that, right? Imagine like Ripple or XRP being advertised, It's like, what?
Yeah, I remember EOS being, I don't know, am I coming through fine? We're good?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, guys, again, I'm on vacation here, so we had some technical difficulties, but I'm charging those AirPods now, and we'll see. But yeah, as far as the Grayscale thing goes, man, I think Mike had a really funny tweet about this too, because they're talking about the history of money and all these things and pushing BTC, and not mentioning that it's a 400% premium. Yeah. These people. So shout out to Mike on that tweet. But guys, it's great to see everybody in, man. I think we had at one point 18 or 19 until I had those audio issues, and then people just bounced. But we got 16 now in the chat, so we appreciate you guys. Johnny's in the chat. He said, "Sup lads." Garch is talking about DSLA protocol. So I haven't checked out DSLA. If you can drop a link in the chat, that'd be awesome. Scott's laughing at our woes here that we're dealing with. And
he's laughing at the story that I told.
Okay.
I told everybody that you always ride that 3% or 5% charge on your phone, laptop, and everything. So
that is a maxim for me, guys. I like to live it on the edge. All right, we got one more question about Curve too. They said, when is Curve coming out? So guys, I dropped some links in the chat. Let me know if you have those that are coming through. I think they are coming through just fine. But we're getting various information from the community about the Curve launch. We'll know exactly whenever the team says that it's happening. But basically what's happening is there's going to be a vesting schedule for initial liquidity providers, and then all the Curve that's going to be sent into I'm assuming Uniswap at some point is going to be from the rewards gained once the token is live. So that's going to be a situation. Supply is going to be really small. It could, like I said, expect volatility. We'll get to it in a second, but expect volatility. So I'll let Demeester get to the end of this quick news, and then we're going to touch on some discussion pieces. We've got EOS launching August 15th announcement here that we'll get to at the end of the week. That hopefully will be not another letdown for the EOS community. I know there's a ton of things that have happened, announcements that have happened over the past I would say, years for the EOS community, and there's been some letdown. But we appreciate everybody that's showing up. It looks like we got about 17, 18 in the chat. So thanks, guys, for following along. Leave some comments in the channel. We'd love to discuss with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's keep on moving forward. So the next piece of news is coming from the good old New York, regulators. Usually they're the ones that, come out with the pitchforks, towards the crypto community and start suing everybody just to get the money. But looks like we do have some good news. New York green listed some tokens, which they're blessed that they can be traded, they can be exchanged, and so on. So it's a very good green light from the regulators that was updated on August 3rd. It's interesting to see some of these that made the list. I'm going to throw this up really quick so you guys can see. It's Binance USD, stable coins, looks like, are obviously made, they've made the round. We have the Pax Gold in their LTC. It was interesting to see Bitcoin Cash in there as well, and XRP. This is basically the list that's in there right now. The interesting part here that they talk about is that at any time and in sole discretion, they can prohibit or otherwise limit coins used before or after a VC entity begins using a coin. So basically, they're saying, hey, listen, at any time we can just shut this thing down and say, these are, let's say, like, for example, Ripple, like, it's not going to be green lighted anymore, so therefore you can't use it anymore, as far as the New York user base and residents goes. So it is interesting to see that regulators are finally putting down some good stuff in terms of, giving green light for these, which will open up gateways to entities, VCs, and so on, and funds to be able to trade, transact, and so on, right? Because they've been blessed by the New York. We know how big New York is in terms of if you get their blessings, that's very good. So that was a piece of news about the regulation there. Now, also, the last piece of news that I got here is basically about Crypto.com. So Crypto.com, we've been covering these guys on the desk for some time. We looked at their token CRO, which has been absolutely mooning. It's like one of those where it's just like a vertical chart, and then it's like, well, how do I get into this thing? I don't want to buy at a top, and this thing continuously makes new tops. Crypto.com, has been doing real well, but they do have a significant event coming up that for the people that do hold Crypto.com CRO token, or actually for the people that hold the MCO token, they need to be aware because basically Crypto.com is moving away from MCO to CRO token. So there is going to be a swap that you will need to actually do yourself. This is not going to be an automated swap. You'll have to actually set up an account on Crypto.com and do that swap manually. It does include mandatory KYC and all that stuff. So they're moving basically from MCO to CRO. And I believe you really have to do that before the September 2nd. Make sure that it's done manually before it occurs because, you probably might lose those MCO tokens. But the cool thing about it is that they're also doing it to incentivize migration is that they are giving a 20% bonus. So if you have one MCO token, you get a 20% bonus to, as you convert it into CRO. So there's your free alpha right there, my man.
Yeah.
So
there's the alpha, guys.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so let me see if I can pull this up real quick, just show you guys. But this is basically the article Masari that's talking about it. So gotta make sure I see the current rate that they have. One MCO, 27.64 CRO with 20% user swap before the September 2nd. So make sure you guys do that for those that hold MCO or for those that maybe want to buy MCO and then get the bonus. That's also not a bad probably play. But
it's not investment advice, Demeester. What's going on, man?
No, it's not. It's not. But anyway, that's basically the quick news that we got.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, when did this news come out? Because it looks like over the past, and I'm looking at CoinGecko now, it hasn't seen much price appreciation since maybe a couple months ago. I know it was a great performer over like like probably 2 months ago. But now it looks like there hasn't been much price appreciation on this news. So
Are you talking
definitely,
about MCO or CRO?
I'm talking about CRO.
Oh, CRO. Yeah. Well, so CRO. I think the price appreciation you have to look at is the MCO, not CRO. So if you take a look
Okay,
at MCO, there is price appreciation because people are buying MCOs to swap it to get CRO with 20% bonus.
got it. Okay, all
Yep.
right, that makes sense. Yeah, so we had a comment come through. Young Content was asking if we were a part, and I want you to answer this, Dimitri. I want you to answer this fully and with all truth. He was asking about whether we were a part of the 2017 ICO mania. So were we a part of the 2017 ICO mania? For those of people that maybe don't know our background.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good question, and yeah, we were at the very front lines of that. We were the ones that actually were part of ICO Alert. Mike is a co-founder of that, so we were very involved in ICOs, and I worked with many different projects to help them kind of with the fundraising and so on that we were doing for them. So it was interesting. It was a very interesting phase to see, some of these projects, kind of go down. Some of them flourish. Like, we
Mhm.
worked with Celsius very closely when they were doing their ICO. Many others that are still existing and doing pretty well. I'm pretty sure we probably work with Link as well at some point. I don't quite remember, but yeah, we were very involved in ICO era for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I wish when we worked with Sergey back in the day that he would have told us that Link would go to like
Yeah.
220x. What is it? But by this point, it's like 200x. The Link Marines are absolutely nuts, man. They're like XRP Army on steroids. So it looks like we have a couple comments. Young is saying, "Nice, y'all are vets." Then we do what we can in this business, man. We're trying to stay alive. We barely survived the crypto winter. We're happy that alt season is a little bit back. Scott is saying, "I got into BTC in Feb of 2017." Found y'all shortly after that. So Scott, yeah, man, we appreciate you sticking with us. We're like old school vets now, man. It's felt like years, man,
We're
and it
like
has been.
crypto boomers,
That's why we need to stay on top of the game. The DeFi space kind of threw us through a loop a little bit, but we got to always kind of readjust our glasses a little bit and make sure that we're seeing the space with fresh eyes, because the DeFi space certainly is new and you got to stay on top of it. It's a fast moving space for sure. Swipe is another one, man, that offers like debit cards
Hmm.
for crypto. That's another one I keep my eye on. They have their own token. But I do like the idea of having, crypto debit cards where you have ETH loaded and they do the transaction there when you're at the point of sale. So that's a cool thing to keep an eye on. So yeah, man, I appreciate you hitting that quick news while I had that audio
Yeah.
problem, and you carried that, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. That's why I'm here. So yeah, well, as far as the discussions go, Q, looks like you got a point here. I didn't have one for myself, but maybe I can come up on the fly.
All right. Yeah, no worries about that, man. Yeah. So, guys, if you haven't, followed along up to this point, we've touched on a lot of good things. We've touched on Curve Finance kind of launching its token. We had a lot of the LADs updates. We talked ETC getting attacked. So we appreciate everybody that's kind of joining along now. My discussion, oh my goodness, Gray Man came through with 20 bucks. Gray, I appreciate you, man. Can you show my coin Kava? Well, listen up. Do I have an announcement for you, man? We have Kava. So we've had Brian Kerr. We've talked to him on the podcast specifically, and had him. So if you want to go into our kind of channel history, you can actually find Kava. Probably about 8 months ago, I would say, up to this point. So Kava was one of those guys that we had to kind of have back on. So we actually have Kava on Layer 1. Let me check and make sure I'm getting this correct. Kava Labs is scheduled for 8:20. So that'll be an episode that'll probably get launched on 8:21. But that will definitely be a good episode to check out. Kava's doing great things, man. Cosmos is absolutely killing it. So I think Cosmos is one of those that's going to see relative. I think all of these kind of protocols that have some type of a tie to the ETH community, where they kind of are almost like sister communities, I think are going to see price appreciation as
as the DeFi space kind of gets built out. And when we've seen that, Kava's done well. There's a couple others that I'm missing right off the bat that are within the Kava or within the Cosmos ecosystem there that you could probably school me on, Gray Man. But we appreciate the donation, man. $20. We're going to be putting that towards something of improving Layer 1. So that really helps, guys. As we continue to grow this channel, donations help, likes help, subscribes help. Kind of join our, we have the Layer 1 community, the Lads community, what we like to call them. A great group of guys that we've put together, group of guys and girls that we've put together. I know we have one female in that group. We'd like more. We want to diversify our group a little bit, but yeah, that link is there in the description. And join the Lads, man. We'd love to have you along, but appreciate that. So, do you have any points on Kava that you'd like to make off the point? I know they're trying to build a protocol where you can have multiple, DeFi applications being built on top of it. What do you think about Kava specifically?
Yeah, no, I'm always kind of have an eye on Kava, and we had an interview with them that was, it was great, and we're gonna have them back on the channel. So I'm excited to find out what has changed and what are they doing right now. What's new. DeFi obviously is very hot. So to your point about the sister chains, or sister platforms that are doing similar stuff, that we'll start to see similar growth is absolutely correct. We're seeing Band, for example, right? That is pretty much like Link. Band is up significantly. Got listed in Coinbase. That was one of the Binance launchpads, which was another thing that was pretty crazy, right? We have Binance launchpad, protocol that's made its way to Coinbase. Wow, So all of that stuff is going to be, is going to be great. So Kava is definitely, definitely going to have interesting conversations here coming up with them directly. So.
Yeah, just as kind of ICO alert and the channel that we've grown since then, we've definitely had a lot of EOS people kind of come on board there, obviously. And EOS is trying to, all these Layer 1 protocols are trying to take advantage of the zeitgeist that is DeFi, right? That's the movement, that's the narrative. So you see Band is trying to take advantage of the movement that has happened around Link, and you see that they're trying to be another Oracle, right? Oh, I got this Oracle, and it's not nearly, it's 20x less than Link. So why can't this Oracle be at least half as valuable? So there's definitely a lot of these chasing the narrative that's happening around ICOs, and that's the music right now. So that's the dance we're playing. So we're not gonna try to change that music whatsoever. So again, Gray Man, appreciate you. We'll definitely do our research there on Kava. We'll talk not only with them on the interview, but we'll definitely talk a little bit more Kava next week. See if we can't find some Kava news for Layer1Live next week. But thank you so much, Weed Miners in the chat. Thank you for the. It looks like a heart. It looks like a Switzerland heart there. We appreciate that comment there, Weed Miner. That's just a heart with a little extra health there. So all right, so we. Holy, yeah. You're talking. I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Nick Spanos, Zap. Yeah. So Grayman is absolutely It's great, man. You're literally single-handedly powering Layer 1 right now, man. He said, "Do you think Kava will make it to Coinbase? I bought Band at 105." So that makes sense why Grayman has all this cash to be spending. He bought Band at 105. He's obviously up big time. We appreciate that comment, man. Let's see. He said, "Do you think Kava will make it to Coinbase?" So we had an actual story come through. I think last week about cryptocurrencies that Coinbase was looking at. I don't know if Kava was part of that list. I can look that up. But did you have anything to say on that specifically?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know if you have some rumors, but that would be very interesting to ask specifically them when we do meet with them. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised if it was, listed on Coinbase. Scott, looks like you saying we were cutting out. Yeah, sorry, I had some issues with the mic. Hopefully things are coming through right now, so that's good to go.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find that article, guys. I guess I'll have to wait till Demeester makes his next point and makes his next comments on the next story. But we have gotten to the discussion portion. For those that maybe aren't familiar with Layer1Live, what we'll do specifically is we'll talk on the Lads community. We'll talk on like kind of the latest within Layer 1 as that continues to grow. We'll hit the quick news or quick and breaking. Usually if there's like a big breaking news, and then we'll talk discussion, and then we'll get into the different protocols. So obviously you can't see that, but usually we have a setup here, I believe on this side, that shows the column of what protocols we're talking about. But we're talking ETH, EOS, we're talking DeFi, and we're talking NFTs today. So it looks like Grayman said they did make the list. So there have definitely been announcements from Coinbase before, talking, hey, we're gonna look at the review of these cryptocurrencies. I don't know about the hit rate. So obviously those lists have been coming out since 2017, since they started adding more than ETH. And I believe the other one was Bitcoin Cash. What were the first three? It was BTC, ETH. I know there was three when I got it in 2016.
It wasn't EOS?
But it definitely was not EOS. I don't know. I have to look back and see those times, but I don't know the hit rate as far as the announcements. Whenever they come out and list 20 coins that they're reviewing, do all of those coins eventually get added? I know they were trying to add Ample, which I was definitely talking about last week on whether they would add a coin that has such volatility and the token economics and mechanics behind it. So we'll definitely take a look, Grayman. Definitely join the Telegram so that we can keep you updated. Obviously, we're doing Layer 1 every week, but if you want to like stay in touch during the week and get asked these questions as well, jump into the Telegram, man. We'd love to have you. So let me take a look while we look at these other stories here. But again, here we go. We're starting the discussion piece. I know we've got sidetracked multiple times. So it looks like Blockchain Gaming Alliance is working with, looks like Dapper Radar. So Dapper Radar puts out its monthly reports on the blockchain gaming ecosystem. So if you don't know, I'm super into NFTs, but not just NFTs, but dApps in general, right? Like dApps have almost gone away from the forefront. I remember in 2018, we were talking dApps, user activity, mass adoption. But now that kind of is pushed to the side. We have other dApps, even though they're not really called that anymore, dApps being DeFi. But we do have essentially a report here that came out from the Blockchain Gaming Alliance and Dapper Radar. I'll drop it in the chat now.
Yeah, I have it pulled up on the stream.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. So you have it pulled up there. So we'll kind of go through this really quick. So basically, Blockchain Gaming Alliance and Dapper Radar partnered together. So we've got some key trends here, right? It looks like blockchain games in general have gone up over the last, I believe, like 30 days. So you see kind of a 3% increase in number of unique wallets. If the big story here and kind of the discussion I wanted to have with you and the rest of the community was, what does Ethereum do with the gas fees and NFTs and all of these dApps where you have really high volume, low value transactions? We've seen DeFi kind of be the major use case now, right? We've seen all the users that have kind of proliferated that ecosystem. But the problem with and even within the DeFi space is you have high value transactions. So maybe if you're making a $2,000 transaction, $5 doesn't matter. But the problem is when you start to add gambling dApps, when you start to add NFT dApps where you have an Axie Infinity where you're trying to buy an item for $1 and the gas fee's $4, it's like, what do you actually do on these platforms, specifically within Ethereum, to handle these gas fees? Do you make most of the transactions off chain? Do you try to find a layer 2? Do you move to another protocol? That's kind of the discussion piece I wanted to have. So let me touch on a couple of these other points and then get maybe your guys' opinion in the chat as well as you, Dimitri. Looks like daily activity across all games. EOS is definitely doing well there. Looks like overall gaming activity, and this is the point here, overall gaming activity on Ethereum is down 82% over 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And then you have a rise of 12% on EOS. I think you have a rise on Wax as well as Tron. So you see a ton of activity on these games. I think Splinterlands is mentioned. They moved from Steam, the Steam blockchain that got bought, acquired by Jay Sun, and they moved from Steam to Hive. And then you also have Upland, which is a game on an EOS, definitely doing well. There's a couple other things. I think something I should mention before we get into the discussion is there's still a lot of high value transactions happening on Ethereum. So the crypto art scene, the NFT the NFT scene is still majorly on Ethereum. I think, let me see, 75% of the 35 million of trading volume over in that 2020 to date is Ethereum. So they're still doing a lot of the value, but the activity is slowing down, and that has a lot to do with the gas fees. So where do you think maybe other sectors that aren't DeFi that are kind of getting pushed out, what happens here?
Yeah. So I think like we're making our way towards like, all right, so ETH is gonna be, do a specific sector. It's tailoring itself towards a specific sector like DeFi and stable coins and all those things. We do large transactions. The gas fee doesn't really impact that, and therefore we have those sectors flourishing and growing, right? We haven't really seen dApps and games coming out on Ethereum for the specific reason that you mentioned, which is the gas fees and the small transactions don't really make sense, which is going to open up a huge opportunity for those other protocols like that everybody's been waiting for, for EOS and all those others that do have their protocols that do have the capability to have higher transactions per second, lower fees, and all those things. They've been waiting for a moment like that, right? But it's interesting to see that we haven't really had these dApp developments on those networks, right? It seems like everybody's kind of focusing on ETH, and then they like start like trying to make something on ETH, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, the gas fees, like, we'll wait until the gas fees will come down, or like ETH is gonna fix itself, right? Yeah. Why don't you just go to a different protocol that does have the infrastructure set up and everything you need to set those things up? And I think it's gonna start breaking it up this way with, like, for example, just as an example, is like EOS, for example, is what if that becomes like a gaming, platform, or Wax is doing that right now with a lot of their stuff. So I think it's gonna be split up. I don't think ETH is gonna be doing those things with the gaming and dApps and so on, because of just how the way it's set up and where the value is being put in which sectors for ETH. Those sectors are growing rapidly, and you can't satisfy both. You can't have like the DeFi space, and the stable coins with higher fees, and then have the games that can do low transactions. Yeah, you can do some band-aids with the layer 2 and all that stuff, but why? Like, why don't you just set it up on the on the platforms that don't have those things and not impacted by the DeFi, scaling and all that stuff.
It honestly seems like the whole market is just like, hey, ETH2, we're just gonna wait. Like, we'll deal with this. The problem is, do you die in that time? Does if you see 80% daily activity kind of plummet as far as these games are concerned, like you're saying, are you going to, another thing that we're not talking about either is DAOs. I joined Cooper Turley's DAO. It was like a Meta Clan esports DAO. And when you're in DAOs, you have to vote on certain things. That's the whole reason for DAOs. You're doing a decentralized organization. You want to be able to make plans via the tokens that you have. But the problem is, every time I'm voting, which is not inherently making me any money, I'm losing money. So it's just like DAOs completely get pulled out. So I think you go off chain with some of those things. I think James Duncan over at Collabland is building some cool DAO features that are all off chain. That you have to. The one thing I push back on where you're saying move to other chains is, I think most people want to stay on Ethereum because of the composability, right? Like, you have all these different things, like people that, like, you see Aave is launching their NFT DeFi thing, so it's their DeFi like little dApp. So when you have users who are staying within ETH, who have all these tokens that are ERC20, you want to be able to access those people. You don't want to be able to, have to say, hey, you have to actually move ETH into EOS, and now you can access what's going on.
Well, this
So
is why
that's
the
the bit. It's like
Polkadot is going to
it's
do
like a
well.
rock. What's that?
Polkadot is going to do well.
That's a good, yeah, good point. Wrapped assets, I think, will help. You know, if you can wrap ETH into a certain, or you can, what if you could wrap, yeah, what if you could wrap ETH on EOS and then be able to use your ETH within that platform, or vice versa? You know, I don't know, like if you,
Interoperability.
yeah, exactly. Interoperability definitely helps. I'm definitely wrapping my mind around that, but I don't want to get too far into this, guys. That's certainly something that I'm super interested in, and I appreciate you guys commenting along. It looks like Weedminer saying blockchain heroes on Wax is very cool. Yeah, Wax is doing some cool things. We're going to talk blockchain heroes actually in a second when we make it to EOS, because that is kind of a sister chain of EOS. Johnny12 is saying there's too much tribalism in crypto. I would inherently agree with that. So, Grayman, I found that list. I found Coinbase, and it looks like you said, Kava is on that list. So we'll be tracking that for you. It looks like there's a who's who of that list, man, as far as DeFi is concerned.
Can you send it over?
Yeah, I can send that over to you. Kava, I think, is based in San Fran as well. So I wouldn't underestimate some of these kind of off-chain things and kind of just like location-based things having an effect on certain tokens, man. I really don't. So there's definitely a lot to be said there. Kava is one of the better DeFi protocols, I would say. So having them listed on Coinbase is not a foregone conclusion, but it will probably. I don't want to say probably. I'll just leave it there. So I'm not going to say anything and get myself in trouble, but we're certainly hopeful that it does get listed there, and we'll do more research as that goes along. So
yeah. So you were saying, just to kind of wrap up the discussion, right? So you're saying that the trickling down to some of these protocols is not actually what's happening, right? So we're seeing contraction in terms of games and users on Ethereum due to the fees and all these things that are happening, and we're not seeing the trickling down to, let's say, those users or games are going to a different protocol, right?
I mean, we have seen an increase in activity on Tron, on Wax, on these other things, but I don't necessarily think those are Ethereum users that are saying, hey, I just think that there's just less activity going on within ETH. I don't think a lot of these people are moving over. I could be wrong. But yeah, I would inherently say, yeah, it's they're being pushed out. Ethereum's found its product market fit essentially, and that product market fit is not low value, high volume transactions. It's just not. As it gets more popular, it's not. And DeFi has found the high value, low volume transactions. We'll see how that does going forward. That's not to say DeFi is not being hit too. People just, that is what it is.
Yeah.
And certainly there's other protocols that are going to look to capitalize and bring games over. I just think most protocols, like there's Vig. I don't know if you know Vigor Protocol, which is on EOS. There's a couple others that are doing some things on other protocols. So yeah, there's users that will probably look for like the Kavas of the world on other protocols to see if they can take advantage of that movement that we've seen on ETH.
Yeah, it'll be super interesting to see how that actually works out. And it's also interesting. Another thing is that some of these protocols are starting to hop into the DeFi space, and they're trying to capture the DeFi sector. But it's like, well, do you really have to do that? It's like, yeah, you can. I can see that you're trying to capitalize on the current opportunity, but given what we're saying is that if we do have a pour out of users and games that are porting over, let's say, from Ethereum, then it's an opportunity for your protocol to capture those instead of trying to compete with DeFi on Ethereum, which is like, come on, man, so.
Yep. I 100% agree with that, man. I think you're going to start to see protocols that are specific to each use case, and I think that's what you're kind of touching on there. So, yeah, 100%. The last thing I'll say about this discussion piece is look how far we've come. Go to that Blockchain Gaming Alliance article and show for the guys watching at home. Look at all the way down at the bottom, all the partners that have been made. Look at how big the NFT and gaming industry is compared to 2017, man. Like that is an unreal amount of ecosystem activity the Blockchain Gaming Alliance has. So just a ton, and there's quality in there too, where it was bet dice and, you know, all these random, not to say that people didn't make money on those things. Most of the DApp ecosystem at first was gambling, and now you see a ton of ecosystems being built out, or a ton of different platforms within those ecosystems. So we got to get NFT live on this press and media spot too. That'll be that'll be awesome. We'll have to talk to Sebastian and Yacht about that. So yeah, great. Hey guys, we got about 18 in here. We appreciate you guys. We're making our way. We've touched on some discussion pieces. I don't know if Dima has a discussion piece that he wants to hit to, and then we'll touch Ethereum, EOS, DeFi, NFTs, and roll out.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip on the discussion today. Yeah, I feel like nothing is coming to my mind. I'm definitely gonna talk a little bit about the DeFi towards the end there.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we're ready to roll to Ethereum.
Okay, awesome. And this story specifically has some ripple effects into the Lads community itself. Obviously, if you guys aren't familiar with Layer 1, you're not going to know that we launched our Layer 1 token, our Lads token. That was actually named by the community, I believe about 3 weeks ago now. Wow, time flies. But basically, guys, this social currency movement, I'm not going to touch too much on it. If you want more information, you can come into our Telegram, and I can get you all that, and Demeester can get you all that info. You can also follow our Substack. I believe we have that listed. So a ton of articles there. That'll probably be the best place to go. But social currencies are actually like coming to the forefront, right? Personal tokens are synonymous with social currencies. Basically, what they're able to do is connect contributors and communities with members that oftentimes contribute a ton. Like we have a ton of great people within Layer 1, but social currencies let them have a stake in our network, where I believe a lot of people that make communities better before social tokens existed, they don't get amply rewarded for doing so. So as you see the social currencies, and certainly you can go to our Substack and check out kind of the primer there, so I don't have to spend too much time. As you see social currencies kind of be built out, there's going to be more infrastructure around how you get social currencies set up and what the best practices are. So this story right here that I'd like Demeester to pull up is around Cooper Turley, who's a guy who is absolutely a workaholic within the Ethereum ecosystem, specifically in the DAO ecosystem, DeFi ecosystem. And the DAO and DeFi ecosystem are kind of meshed with personal tokens. So he's launching a personal token agency. And basically, not to get too like in the weeds here, basically he's taking 3 or 4 of really popular personal tokens and the personal token user, or like the content creator, and he's creating a agency to help these people set the infrastructure for all the people that are going to follow afterwards. So Cooper's announced via this article that he's launching this agency, and he has a bunch of information there, but mainly the one thing I want to touch on as it comes to the Lads community is eventually we will hopefully get in touch with Cooper and kind of hopefully bring Layer 1 under this agency, right? And if you scroll down, there's a bullet point where he says enter the personal token agency, and he talks about the expectations of the agency, and including tokenized income streams, token distribution strategy, partnerships and media opportunities, supply tracking on CoinGecko, liquidity providing via dexes like Uniswap. So they want to, and also play a major role in communication strategies. So what Cooper's basically doing is setting up this agency to help people roll out social tokens. If I'm just breaking it down to its base, and Layer 1's done this, and we'd love to work with Cooper, and we'll hopefully work with Cooper in the near future to help the Lads community get more value out of the Lads token, man. I think he knows, being within the DeFi space, within the DAO space, how to roll these out correctly. And I think we can bring him in, hopefully help and hopefully help the value of the Lads token, hopefully help find greater utility. I know that the Lads token has found utility from various members of the community. So we cannot wait to work with Alex here. Again, Demeester's got it pulled up there. He's working with Alex, who launches personal token Alex. He's working with, I believe, Brian Flynn. He's working with Marguerite, who has launched her own personal token. So just a who's who of kind of some of the best personal tokens within the space. We've seen, not to get too far in the weeds here, but personal tokens have, as we've seen DeFi kind of explode, maybe there's extra capital rolling around. Who knows what the reason is, but personal tokens in particular have seen an increase in value as we've seen more liquidity come to those tokens on Uniswap. So I don't know if you want to pull up some of these tokens, Dimitri, but Whale Shark token, the whale token. I think we've talked about Alex token. There's a couple others that of these tokens within these communities that have seen major increases in kind of their value in general. And certainly that's not all we want to do with the LADS token, right? But we want to, provide value in as many ways as we can. And Cooper is essentially bringing that to these communities that are listed. So what do you think about this, man? I know that was a long spiel.
No, absolutely. It's interesting. The agency, Alex is pushing the boundaries of experimentation with this stuff, right? So it is interesting to see all of the stuff. He's doing liquidity mining on his Alex token now. It's like we're seeing a lot of this, but what I'm focusing on is to see the utility of those tokens, right? More stories of utilizing those tokens and more light on that, right? So I think getting an alliance together is pretty cool. We'll see if that's going to stir up interest from anybody else in crypto who's creating content or is trying to tokenize, certain things. I wouldn't say like tokenizing the brain, but tokenizing like content creation is probably pretty cool. Obviously, we've been talking to these guys and working with these guys quite a bit, so they're very involved, and they're on the cutting edge of that sector being built out. So it's pretty cool to see that. I could probably see. I don't understand why streamers, maybe like gamers, wouldn't jump on this. That would have been, it seems like a no-brainer for them where they can do a lot of interesting things.
Yeah. You touched on it like right away, right? We're kind of on the fringes of what is allowed and what isn't with a lot of what's going on in personal tokens. So that will be part of what Cooper has to figure out when he's working with these people on the personal token agency. I'm certain that he's probably taking a cut of what these tokens are part of, assuming that there will be liquidity in the future. Liquidity is like the major issue with some of these personal tokens, right? Yeah. Like if you're trying to drive value to these tokens or get people interested in the token, how do people get it other than being rewarded for it? So there's a lot of questions around personal tokens, and Cooper's trying to answer them. We'll be working closely with him so that we can set up the infrastructure that's necessary for LADS to be successful, so that not only us, certainly that's awesome for LADS to be cool and be traded and all these things, but more so for the community that you guys have been creating with us. That's the ultimate goal. So Cooper hopefully can help us with that in the future. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, man, I got some EOS news to get to, but let's see. I want to attempt this AirPod situation again. I know they've been charging for a little bit. Let me touch on this Wax news really quick, and then you can kind of have an EOS, your thoughts on EOS as it is today. Blockchain Heroes, really quick piece of news. Wax obviously has been having a ton of sales. I believe every single sale has sold out up to this point. So there's been, obviously the GPKs have sold out in multiple rounds. We had the William Shatner that sold out, and now we have Blockchain Heroes. I believe the Bad Crypto podcast, those guys actually created these cards, which they then were going to sell yesterday. And they put out a bunch of packs. I think shout out to Ronan here, who's on the NFT Live podcast or NFT Live show with me. He actually told me the actual stats here. I believe they raised or sold $115,000 worth of these Blockchain Heroes, which they just simply created. They weren't William Shatner, they weren't this tops brand, but they were able to sell out, and that kind of shows the interest in all of what's going on in the NFT space right now. So they sold 115,000. If you want to go, they're on secondary markets, on collectibles, and they're also on the block. I can find you a couple more links for secondary markets. So All of these sales on Wax have sold out, man. And Sandbox is selling out. The NFT space is just chomping at the bit. And that's just within the crypto space right now. No one's figured out mass adoption yet for these. I think Flow's trying to do it with NBA Top Shot, which we can talk about too if you want to talk about your experience there while I get my AirPods. But NBA Top Shot's doing good things with Flow. So interesting space. I shout out again to Ronan for getting me those stats on Blockchain Heroes. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, NFT markets are very interesting. I feel like they're still kind of the underdog. We can say, hey, a lot of people know about it, but it's really kind of because we're in this crypto environment all the time, and we discuss these things all the time, and NFT does come up. But NFT doesn't come up as often as, let's say, DeFi or other sectors, right? So, and I think the NFT in general is still the underdog that's gonna, continue to grow and flourish, especially with just seeing how much interest there is for garbage pail kits, which I completely don't understand. Like, I guess those cards were real back in the day in the 80s that kids were collecting. I don't know why kids would collect cards like that. They look like garbage pail kids, I guess. But interesting to see all these sellouts, and then obviously we'll talk a little bit later about the Dapper Labs. That stuff I'm something excited about, a lot.
Yeah, the secondary markets have to. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. The secondary markets are something to keep an eye on with this, like GPKs, garbage pail kids. I think they have a known kind of, not value, but they've been known because they were physical trading cards, right? Whereas the William Shatners, I don't think have held their value as much as the GPKs for one reason or another. So that's something to keep in mind. I made this point in a couple of our chats, but NBA Top Shot on Flow, they actually don't have a way to see the secondary market sales. So you don't know what's being sold. You definitely know, like, I think the highest and lowest price, but there's no way to kind of see what's being sold. So that's something you need as like an investor and a trader within this. So we're getting spammed here by Jorge. Jorge's saying EOS.io voice. We see your interest in EOS, man. So Manuel's in the chat. Manuel, great job on the Bitcoin prediction stakes today. You definitely won. Looks like Williams products shot the bed. And yeah, price packs are already 4x for some of those blockchain heroes. So definitely an interesting space. NFTs are awesome. If you want to know more about NFTs, we definitely have that show every Thursday with Ronan the Collector that we do every Thursday, usually at 1 p.m. So definitely subscribe to the channel and let us know what you think. Guys, appreciate all the support right now. You guys are coming in like gangbuster in the chat, so we appreciate it. Jorge, I'm gonna have to ban you if you keep on. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't spam the chat now, man.
Yeah, my friend's going hard on that EOS pump. But yeah, it's super interesting. Somebody's saying that the price packs is already 4x. I guess it's talking about the William Shatner. And we had Kieran, I think, who also was participating in that sale, so he had a success there. So yeah, it's always interesting to see those successful sales and people get to flip them. Speculation at first when they get to flip them, but then how many X's are going to go up after that, right? So because collectibles usually, right, you're supposed to collect them, hold them for some time, and then essentially kind of offload them after, right? So
gotcha. Okay. All right, man. Well, we got a couple more people in the chat here. Manuel's saying Solana pump, everything pump. Jorge, you got your strike 2 here, man. Come on, don't be and now everything's deleted. Looks like you got timed out. Thanks, bud.
Timed out for a little bit. Catch a breath.
Yeah, please take a breath and come back and follow along, please. All right, we got a couple more chats here to get to. So Eve has been all over the EOS ecosystem, kind of hinting very very weirdly. He's been tweeting. I think today I can drop this into the chat. He said, "I gave you plenty of time to prepare. I hope you're ready." Brennan is here chatting. EOS is the only public blockchain ready for prime time, and our business plans are based on that lead strengthening even further. So nothing really tangible to give you guys, but there's been a ton of different Twitter announcements. Dan's been way more active on Twitter. So we've just seen kind of the face. I know we've been talking about this for a lot. These blockchains, these networks, they need faces of the franchise. And Dan has come back. Brennan's come back. Eve is taking a leading role on social media. Hopefully this doesn't lead to this massive letdown on August 15th, but there's more than enough information to tell us that there's going to be a huge, big announcement August 15th for EOS. We don't know what that is yet. We'll see what they're trying to do. Some have been hinting at like financial products. Some have been talking about how they have a stash of Bitcoin that could be maybe staked and rewards given to voice users. There's all this speculation running around about EOS right now. But until we know what actually is happening, until we get the actual announcement, it's all speculation. So
I thought you have the inside information, man. Come on.
Unfortunately not, man. I tried to get some out of Eve, but Eve was not given to anybody. So it looks like it's between him and Block One apparently. So we'll have that information when we do. But yeah, man, this has been as excited as I've seen the EOS community since Block One June of last year. So it'll be interesting to see.
Are there any updates on voice or anything new going on there, or are we still kind of in the same stage?
No, I think they obviously like announced or unleashed it to the world. So people around the world now have access to voice. I think they were doing something cool with, I don't know if they weren't doing like no KYC, but I know initially people were really frustrated at the idea that they would have to give their ID. So like government ID to sign up. So I know that kind of took a back seat. They're not doing that. So I know there's a couple other authentication, like identity authentication that they want to put into voice. But who knows, maybe this product that they're rolling out or whatever they're announcing on Friday has to do with voice. We'll just have to wait and see. So good stuff from the EOS ecosystem, man. Johnny's saying BitShares 3.0 will be Block One's next project. Interesting because voice is kind of like positioning itself. I know BitShares, I don't know enough about BitShares to make this proclamation, but I know that Dan was working on voice kind of in the same realm as a BitShares, where it was kind of his baby and he's kind of heading up the product. So we'll see. I'm super excited as an EOS holder. We talked about this before the episode went live. I haven't been this excited, and we'll see where it goes, man. Hopefully it's not a massive letdown.
Oh, it's going to be like liquidity mining. Or like
hey, if it pumps it, I'm good, man. Whatever it takes. So yeah, man, that's it. So we got DeFi. Let me touch on this real quick, guys. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'll drop it in the chat once again. Let me know if you are in fact getting these links, guys. I think they are coming through. So that Curve token is being launched imminently. So within the next 24 to 48 hours, most likely we will see a Curve token actually go live. The initial distribution is in that tweet that I talked about there. It looks like it's moving from 3 to 5% of the total supply is actually going to pre-liquidity providers. And that's going to be vested over, I believe, a year's time. So most of the Curve that will hit the market will be from people who are actually, once this goes live, it will be people who are getting rewards live for providing liquidity to the Curve platform. So you'll see those tokens move into Uniswap, and then we'll see where the market goes with what they want to do with Curve. Again, this is the biggest launch that you'll probably see. It's akin to like a Synthetics launching, but Synthetics not having a token yet, right? Like Synthetics, imagine if Synthetics was live and didn't have a token yet. Like that's what's happening right now. Like Curve is launching. They're going to start putting out rewards to these liquidity providers, and that's going to hit the market, and we'll see where it's going to be unveiled at. I'm guessing in the top 20 by far. I think it will be a very, very strong valuation. We'll see if it hits a billy in valuation, but it's going to be massive, and I can't wait to see it. I don't know if I'm taking part yet. Again, super volatile, but we will see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, so we made it to DeFi, and as promised, as I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, we are gonna drop basically a DeFi token that's pretty new here. Just came up on the radar here a couple days ago. So it's called Coin Breeder, actually. I don't know if you guys heard anything about that, but looks like that one is pretty new as far as the DeFi tokens go. This one actually looks like it wasn't even on Uniswap yet. It wasn't even CoinGecko yet. And they were already trading at I believe like $4 or $8 per token. But it's a typical structure here where you basically can do some farming of governance tokens. Farming, you can see their rates here for Maker, Comp, SNX, and all of these that they have available. Similar to the other DeFi projects, basically this is just a new one, and looks like they've just been added to CoinGecko. I think it was today. So if you take a look at their just current token price that they're trading at right now, that is 16.58 for the moment being. It actually got to close to 20. Yeah, it was $20 earlier today. So this is one of the ones that are fresh ones out of the gates. When I was looking at this token, actually, it was having like below 1 million in trading volume. You can see how much that has changed. You can see 7.4 million 24-hour trading volume. So it's picking up quite a bit. Obviously, with these guys, just keep in mind it's very risky. It's very volatile. So if you are looking to invest in anything like this, make sure you allocate risk-free capital that's not going to impact your lifestyle and so on. Basically, money that you can lose, without impacting your lifestyle. So this is the one that just kind of came across the board. Just wanted to share it with you guys. They have interesting stuff here. You can go to their website, coinbreeder.com. I'll pull up the URL, guys, so you can see it. They have team is obviously holding some tokens. They have a vesting period until 2021. Every month, their team gets at the end of the month, they do get vesting tokens. So keep in mind that if they will start unloading some tokens that they get vested, that will occur. That usually occurs at the end of the month because they're so it's released.
So that first vesting period for August. Is they're going to get that vesting at the end of the month for this month, even with that first month.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if because it's that first month if they were going to get the vesting this month. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So yeah, guys can check this one out, and we'll see where this breeze is going to go.
Yeah, guys. One of the things as we see Jorge come back, he says, "I'm back, fresh off the timeout." Make sure you're behaving yourself this time, Jorge, or I'll put you on timeout. Yeah, welcome back. So, guys, one of the cool things that we want to do as we continue. Hey, Demeester, am I coming through all right? Or am I lagging
fine.
out? Okay. One of the things we want to do with Layer 1, guys, is be able to be a source of information. Certainly, we have to tell you that this is not investment advice. Like this, we're not telling you to invest in token. You have to do your own research. But one of the things that we want to continue to provide is a source of information on how to get the best info on where these new projects are launching and different things like that. So Coinbreeder is definitely one that we're keeping our eye on. There's a ton of DeFi projects. I know XFT is a token that I'm looking at. There's a couple others, and I can maybe pull them up here. Wax is like criminally undervalued to me. But,
criminally undervalued. I'm going to start using that. That's good.
Yeah. Cream was an interesting one that we were getting involved in. I know at one point 10% of all Wi-Fi was locked up in Cream. Rarible has their token. Dude, Rarible's nuts. So obviously being an NFT token, it is the token for Rarible itself. Mm-hmm. It's the Rari token. So Rarible was interesting because right when it came out, it was being wash traded on the platform. So Rarible was offering this token where if you traded on their platform like OpenSea, you would be able to get this Rarible token. Well, what did people do? They started wash trading items so that they could get this Rari token. So you saw this huge dump, and I don't know if you want to pull up Rari. You saw this absolutely huge dump. It hit 390 at one point. It got listed August 9th. Wait, wow. No, that's completely wrong. Sorry. It got listed
What's
Got
the
listed
ticker?
on the 16th of July. Yeah, Rari, Rari. Got listed on the 16th of July at around 40 cents. And it saw this huge, massive dump after there was this issue. I know non-fungibles came out and called out the Rarible team for this wash trading that was happening, and like, hey, token economics need to change. So you saw this big dump from like 232 all the way down to like 40 cents. And so it was kind of something where it was very new. NFT tokens, don't really, other than like Mana. I think there's Mana. There's a couple others. There's just not a ton of previous experience with NFT tokens. So that's the Rarible token there. So it's all this huge dump. But then you saw an increase from that 40% low, or from that 40-cent low, all the way up to like now I believe it's trading at $2.40. So over the past 7 days, you've seen an increase in price of 300%. So it's not like anything crazy. That's what I'm seeing here. It's not anything crazy, right? But it's interesting to see, and I have my eye on all the NFT tokens as we go forward. That's the reason kind of why I bring it up. I know we're going to talk NFTs here in a second, but you have Mana, you have Rari now. I know there's a couple of Wax is a great example of what I would call definitely an NFT token as we see more kind of NFTs launch on that protocol. So all of these tokens that are loosely associated with the Wax or the NFT ecosystem, I'm keeping my eye on. But Rari is interesting, right? Because you saw that huge dump after the whole wash trading scandal, and then now you kind of see a price appreciation over that time. So interesting stuff, man. There's not much depth for any of this stuff. Obviously, if you have a large bag, it's just like hard to get in and out. But it's interesting to see that. What do you think about Rari?
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm looking at Cream as well right now. Just looking at their 24-hour trading volume, you can see like 207,000. Rari's 869,000. So, and you can see their market cap. So they're very early. Obviously, it's going to be very volatile. And all these exploits or not exploits, but like token economics. If there's any flaws there, then it's gonna be exploited by the community through like wash trading, like you mentioned.
Yep.
So it's classic with these coming out. You just have to be careful when you're looking at them. The interesting part about the Brie is that the volume on it is much higher than on some of these that we just looked at, right? So we looked at, look like that's significantly higher. Like you can see 7 million in the last 24 hours, right? So it just shows you how people are just rushing in for the new tokens, right? For the new ones that are coming out on the market, and how much interest there is, right? And then I wonder what was the volume, when Cream was coming out and when was Rari coming out, right? I bet they were seeing massive volumes too, So.
Yeah, I think Cream specifically, like you have to, one of the things that I want to throw your way, because you've done at least a good amount of research on a lot of these, at least from like a token perspective, the fully diluted valuations. Like some of these fully diluted valuations, especially if you go to Cream, it's like a top 15 token. So you always have to kind of like look, even though you have like the current supply that's circulating, you have to like kind of look at like, okay, if this was fully diluted, if the supply was where it was, like it would be much, you see like where the valuation would be and whether that project is deserving of a top 15 spot. So I have a couple comments. Jorge is saying, will EOS pass ETH? Let's get to half of ETH value first. Talk about passing ETH. Manuel's saying ETH is at 40,000 is criminally undervalued. Manuel's also saying I am criminally undervalued. And then Jorge, we got to thank you for saying awesome show, guys. Keep up the great work. Lots of great info. Yeah, as we guys, again, the reason we're talking, and this is not normal. I wouldn't say like we've done this much before, but one of the things we want to do is, again, be that source of info, and then you guys be a source of info for us. I mean, we're in this space, so we're talking Cream, we're talking XFT, we're talking Brie. we want to hear about what altcoins you guys are specifically looking for, because it's just, the space is just too big. It's too big for everyone to know everything. So being able to come to Lads and be able to see the Lad, pitch some, projects that they're looking, great. I would love to see that. I just don't have and you and everyone else, we don't have the bandwidth on from like a singular process to do that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate the pitch, man. Okay. So this is what it is. We've made it to the near end of the episode. We're talking NFTs. Demeester's going to hit the first story. This is pretty big. Flow is absolutely a huge blockchain that's coming out at the end of Q4, Q3, at the end of 2020. That's what we've been told from the Dapper Labs team. What's the story here? And then we'll touch on Sandbox and Samsung.
Yeah. So CryptoKitties creator Dapper Labs raises $12 million for consumer-focused Flow blockchain. And basically the first thing that came out of the gates is the Top Shot, which is collectible moments that from NBA. They timed it perfectly with the new NBA seasons, which is amazing, building out hype there. And they also got a pretty good amount of NBA players on board as far as the investment goes. Part of how they essentially ended up picking up the 12 million funding from NBA stars and other to build the consumer-focused Flow blockchain that supports digital collectibles. So you have actual NBA players that invested in this as well. And the overall experience is pretty fantastic. Like we got obviously access to Top Shot demo. You were opening up packs live on NFT Live. That was a lot of fun. Overall the user experience and how it is, it's like the moments are really cool. There's a lot of things that you can collect. I think I've heard somebody who collected all the packs and sets and sold it for like $85K. That was like incredible, right? Obviously, James LeBron is going for quite a lot as far as the price goes. But you can see, I'm gonna pull this up really quick so you guys can see a little bit of this. Top Shot. And for those lads that are interested in gaining access to the beta, to
huge.
Yeah, absolutely. There's we do have some limited amount of invites available, so we'll lay out the structure there. But I did get somebody in, one of the new lads, and they're happy now. So the drops that are available right now, you can see they're sold out of some of them. If I can expand this a little bit. As you can see, there's some packs that have been already sold out, but there's still some in place. There's some rare ones that are in place that you can buy, $26, and it's mainly in USD right now. I believe you can do it in Ether as well. So it's pretty cool. And the signing up for this is so easy. You basically just set up, your email address, password, boom, you have a Dapper account. It's like, what? Like, wallets, private keys, all of that is like very, very seamless. And then you can check out my collection that I got for sale here. So anybody wants to buy, so it's like something like this.
This man is chilling.
Yeah, you see interesting moments and stuff that occurs. And there's been interesting stuff going on. So I'm super excited for Top Shot. This is still in closed beta. There's still like thousands of people on a wait list just to get into this thing, right? So they're going to start slowly unveiling that and so on. So I think it's huge. I was very impressed. Like, NFT stuff that you were showing and you were talking about, some of it gets a little bit complex and how to wrap my head around it. But this one was just like mind-blowing. I was like, wow, that's like fascinating. What are your thoughts about this Top Shot? You mentioned there's certain concerns that you had.
Yeah, well, it's in beta, so all the concerns that I have are probably going to be tossed aside and said, "Oh, well, it's in beta." Right? like from an investor standpoint, some of the strategy that I use is taking advantage of the energy on the first day of the sale. If someone doesn't get into a pack or doesn't get a card that they want, they might be more apt to buy a card on that day whenever it sales out. Now the problem with that is on Top Shot, there's no way to gauge the actual sales that are happening, right? There's no price history. All of those secondary sales that are happening on these wax cards, where I have most of my experience, are made by secondary or third-party developers, right? Like Syed he makes collectibles.io, and that way you can tell, okay, what was sold last, what do I still have, what can I set this at? It's just way more functionality than something that's in beta. So that's my concern there. But again, like back to my point, it's still new. This is the feature, we were talking about this afterwards. These cards have highlights on the back. Now try to add that and wrap your mind around taking this into esports, right? And being able to have Nadeshot on the front with his signature, and then on the back, like you have with these cards, you have like a highlight from the latest Call of Duty tournament. And like, dude, it's free money. It's free money for the guys that want to do this, man, because people want this. Like, there are esports enthusiasts that would 1000% buy what I just talked about. So it is really free money. We will see. Crypto Pickle saying, "What's up, Crypto Pickle, man? What's going on? Introduce yourself to God." We got Waxes ahead of the game. He says intelligent NFTs coming soon too. Yeah, intelligent NFTs will be interesting. We obviously have some thoughts on how there could be features added to NFTs that aren't now. So definitely cool, man. Nice to see you, Pickle, in the chat. We appreciate you stopping by here. We're continuously talking NFTs. I like what NBA Top Shot's doing. TLDR. Flow's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be the Dr. Seuss specifically is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait, because it melds itself well with collectible cards, right? It's just like you have really cool, aesthetically pleasing characters that people know throughout their childhood. You know, like, what if somebody wants a cat in a hat? You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you have everybody our age knows about Dr. Seuss. So being able to say, I'm going to collect this, as opposed to, and I'm not shitting on anybody, I'm not shatting on anybody, but William Shatner, I could care less about. You know, like, I want that Dr. Seuss stuff. So Wax is going to do great things. Flow is going to do great things. All this whole ecosystem is going to be amazing. So
for that Dr. Seuss, is there like a, how do they open it up? They just open it up so everybody run away, or how do you think it's gonna go? Like, how did they done?
Well, we don't know, right? So Flow is doing Dr. Seuss. So the guys behind NBA Top Shot are doing Dr. Seuss. So, but all we know is that they have the IP. We know that they want to release these collectibles. We just don't know. I mean, who knows? It could be the same thing with NBA Top Shot, where you have on the back a cool animation, you know? So we don't know. We don't know these things yet, but it is coming, and it's something that I'm 100% going to be involved in. I would just like there to be kind of some easy way for investors and flippers to be able to see whatever is being sold.
For
like,
sure.
Imagine trading tokens and like not knowing what the last sale price is. How does that even work? You know, like, it's just.
Yeah, hopefully they'll expand on that. But you know, since we are cool with them and work very closely, we'll give you guys the latest updates in terms of access, early access, early access, the earliest access before anybody gets access, basically. So
and to add on to Demeester's point, giveaways. Come on, now we're doing giveaways of Dapper content too. We have Dapper Labs on at the end of the week. We got Mickey from the Dapper Labs team. So we'll talk to them about the Flow blockchain, see what information we can pull out of them. So man, this has been a great NFT discussion. If you want to talk more NFTs, obviously NFT Live on Thursdays, me and Ronan hit that up. The last couple of things, man, the Sandbox, who's been doing sales since the beginning of time, it feels like they've been running like multiple rounds of sales. I mean, their strategy has been to basically, instead of having a sale that runs once or twice in large amounts, they've basically broken that up into multiple sections of the pie. So this last fourth round of their pre-sale, they've sectored off into 4 other sales. So they basically this is their strategy. They're trying to roll out very slowly their accumulated land sales, and once again, they sold out. So the Sand is their Sand, the utility token. So for those of you that don't know, Sandbox is that metaverse that's launching just like a Decentraland would, and they're launching on Binance Launchpad. So Sand, not land, and you make the distinction. Sand is the utility token within the actual metaverse. So you'll be able to do things like stake it and use it for in-game transactions. Land is the actual NFT asset, which allows you to build on top of an estate. So Layer 1 itself, we have land that we can build on top of. We need Sand. The way to get Sand soon, I believe. I don't know when I believe it's like tomorrow. It's being launched on the Binance Launchpad. Now, I'm not a big user of Binance, so unfortunately, like I'm not super happy about the distribution being on Binance Launchpad, because that's basically how people are going to pick it up. So that's the situation right now, guys. That Binance Launchpad is happening, I believe, tomorrow. The land is continuously being sold. This is one part of the sale. They sold $250,000 worth of land in this last round. So that's number one of their 4th pre-sale. I know that's kind of complicated. They added premium assets to these, so something different that hasn't happened maybe in the round 3 of their sale is, one, they added Binance users who I'm sure had no idea about Sandbox before, but because of this Binance Launchpad, they now have the ability to know about it. And then 2, they added premium assets. So along with buying the land, they got some really cool assets that other people don't have access to. So that's kind of the update on Sandbox. You'll get a bigger update on NFT Live on Thursday as me and Ronan talk about it. I'm bullish on Sandbox. I think Decentraland, which we'll get to next, is going to be killing it in the game, just based on their kind of like incumbent status. And one of the reasons they're being added to Samsung is because they've been around for so long. And we'll get to that here now. So Scott's asking if we did EOS yet. We're wrapping up NFTs. We'll definitely have those timestamps in there, Scott, for you. But did you have any thought on Sandbox and the sales that they're doing? I feel like everything, like I could run a shit sandwich sale tomorrow in NFTs and it would sell out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, with the Sandbox and Decentraland is super exciting. I'm still waiting, for that to really gain traction, because it seems like there's a lot of sales that's going on and people are buying it up for speculation, or maybe they really want to participate in this metaverse, and whatnot, right? But we really haven't seen, I don't know how much like action we really have seen in those metaverses, right? Like people actually hanging out, people actually like selling some of their artwork, or like people spending time there, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to, to see, especially, and I've talked about this already many times. It's like, well, now that we have like all this COVID stuff going on, we can't have conferences, bro. Just have this conference in the metaverse, like set up a bunch of people to come into. They'll be huge, So
yeah.
They should capitalize on those opportunities.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff like that in small amounts happening. So I'll tell you, like, just straight up, there is those events happening, but at scale, we haven't seen those yet. So crypto voxels and Decentraland specifically have seen very good growth over this time period. Sandbox hasn't launched, so you're right, it's purely speculative. I've been saying I want access to the Sandbox for 10 years. Sebastian, I want access to the alpha. Please let me in. It's like that GIF that you said, let me in. But so Crypto Voxels specifically, I think, has attracted the NFT art community. Decentraland is definitely, I think, just they're working out their processes. I think they had a lot of issues with usability of the platform, where people were just like, ugh, like this is too hard, and there's not enough, and all these problems. I think they're actually starting to gain a little bit of traction, and they have a good community within Decentraland. Mana, if you want to pull up the chart, Mana is another one that is an NFT token, which shot up, I believe, 100% in the last 2 days. And it comes on the heels, and people were like, what the hell is going on? It comes on the heels, I guess, of the next piece in our last and final article, which is Samsung is adding Decentraland to their interface. So I'm looking at this CoinDesk article here. It says Samsung adds support for blockchain VR platform Decentraland. I don't know when CoinDesk moved to these like bullet formats. I don't know how I feel about it, but it looks like according to a Decentraland announcement on Monday, the platform's native token Land and Mana are now supported by the Samsung blockchain wallet app. So that will be interesting to see, and will be interesting to see if they go forward and add even more interfaces. But it looks like the Mana token and the Land token are being added to a Samsung crypto wallet that will allow people to, have interoperability between, this VR blockchain world and their phone. So I know that's a crazy concept, but we'll see where that goes. And I'm sure in the future, Samsung will launch some sort of VR platform or interface where people can, access Decentraland via their phone. That's gonna be amazing, and that's coming.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like a Samsung partnership almost became like a meme now in the industry, But yeah, Mana did the move out quite a bit. That's it's very interesting. I didn't hear that. So thanks for sharing. Wish I got in early.
That's what I'm here for, baby. Yeah. Yeah, we've been waiting. I mean, there's a ton of people. One of the reasons why Decentraland, and I'm so glad to see Decentraland do well, because for those of us that have been vets in the industry, and I say vets, but for those of us that were around since 2016, 2017, Decentraland was an idea. It was an ICO, and a lot of ICOs petered out and didn't do well, but Decentraland's still here. They have a cool product. They're bringing about it. So I couldn't be more happy for the people behind Decentraland and the holders there. And it should be interesting. I cannot wait for the metaverses to come out.
You telling me an ICO come out with the product?
Yeah, genuine intrigue there.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's really cool.
100%, man. So this was today's episode. I think we went almost 2 hours. So I know Sahil was saying we need to keep these under 2. Hey, man, we kept it under 2 hours. Yep. We're guys, for those of you that are here, we appreciate it. Please leave a like and a subscribe if it's your first time. We appreciate it. If you're not in the Lads community, get in that Telegram group, man. We'll get you access to the private Lads community. We're planning on rolling out articles here at the end of the day for those of you that are in the Lads. I think we have about 10 holders of Lads at this point. So we're going to get people more access to that token and more reasons to hold it and buy it. All of those things that we can do for you guys for being a part of this community.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those guys that watched this Layer1Live, Q, you did mention, right, that some of them are going to get Lads, so make sure you send over your username if we don't have that yet, and we'll send over the Lads to you. And as far as the rest of the week, here's what we got coming up, right? So as you can see by the scrolling card, we do have Demeester's Desk tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to talk about a lot of price action, talk about DeFi tokens. There's interesting stuff happening there. I've noticed where BTC's going up, some DeFi tokens going down, maybe some rotation there going on. So we're definitely going to cover a lot of that. We have some interviews, Q, right? What else we got there?
Yeah, we've got RSR. So Reserve is going to be one of the more Western DeFi products. They're doing a stable coin and a DAO governance token as well. So that'll be interesting. We'll talk a lot of DeFi with Reserve. They're, I believe, in the top 100 now. So it'll be interesting to talk with them. And then we've got Dapper Labs and basically Flow at the end of the week on Thursday. And we also have, or Friday, I'm sorry. And then we have NFT Live on Thursdays. And those have been getting a lot of traction. So me and Ronan are having a good time hosting that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's going to be, exciting week. Lots of things going on, right? So happy Monday to everyone. Thanks for joining in. And Q, do you have anything else?
No, it looks like we have Why Not saying, good show, guys. Scott is saying, ooh, we get Lads. Thanks for the show. Weed Miner's giving us the dab. Scott's saying word. I want to give a big shout out, man. If you're still here, Gray, man, we appreciate the support. The donations really help us, man. Like as we're trying to bootstrap Layer 1, all the support we can get from the community really helps. So that definitely propels us forward. We appreciate you, Gray, man. And hopefully we can get you some Kava news as we go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We tip the hat to you, good sir. But other than that, looks like that's about it, guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Boom.
Boom.